Chandler right there, and Tony, welcome. And wanted to just ask just this opportunity, how you're feeling about it, going in and just hoping that it comes out of this opportunity for you.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like with some of the guys moving around from last year, Tori and each one, some of those dudes that play on the perimeter on the wing, there was a feel for that kind of wing athleticism, defender, run the floor, get out and transition, things like that, to be able to play with these dudes that really kind of lacked a little bit of athleticism in the past. Some of these guys, and you kind of saw that in the playoff run, obviously making it to the finals, but a big piece that these guys have talked to me about and wanting to improve on is that athleticism piece. And I feel like that's going to be there for me. Absolutely.
Chandler, the 10th mode, Arizona BS Company News. Just to go on a little bit more about that. So what is the fans here in Phoenix that maybe don't know you, haven't seen much of your game? What are you looking for them to see out of what you can produce and what you can provide for the team?
I mean, really just whenever my number gets called and I'm coming into this situation to do just that, to not really take a step back, but to understand, there's a lot of returning guys that are valuable pieces to a really good team. But that's exciting for me because I feel like, I haven't been at this level in the league, but I feel I'm a winning player. And, to be able to fit in on a team that wins, I feel like doing that with guys that understand winning and are willing to sacrifice things to win is exactly where I fit in. And I don't think I have to do too much of anything to try to, impress or things like that. Just be who I am. A guy that comes in and is going to work hard every night, every day, whatever role that is, and just try to do things the team needs to hopefully take the next step.
And this is a quick follow-up. Landry had made similar comments about the mentality, the winning mentality here in Phoenix, but comments on how it's also a young team. He had been on previous teams that are competitive, but they've been generally older teams with a lot of veterans. Here we have this. Here Phoenix has this young core, led then by the veterans of Chris Paul, Jay Crowder. What does it mean to join a team that is young, that as you are, but also has that winning mentality that you don't always see in such a young team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect balance, really, when you have guys that are at the top and really the head of the snake that have been through a lot, obviously in Chris and even Book in his young career. I mean, one of the best scorers in the league that's seen all kinds of defenses. There's not much that he's going to see that he hasn't. And even with just the team going to the finals, that's experienced in there, playing a defending championship team in the Lakers and completely just, taking control of that series. And even with the Clippers, 2 perennial all-stars and and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, to get past them, gives all those guys some confidence. Mikal being able to match up with those guys on the wing and really make a difference. It's just, you got young guys that are hungry. Sometimes you can get a top-heavy team that have older players that have been through a lot, but they lack the hunger. I think with this team being able to be led by veterans, like Chris, like Jay, adding JaVale, that's a 3-time champion that has seen a lot with Golden State and with LA and things like that. And then you get these guys that come in, a lot of guys from winning programs, Cam Johnson, Mikal, national championship type level players, their winning attitude is going to carry over, and you've seen it. And for me, I just feel like being also young, being 25 and seeing how to do things maybe the wrong way in other teams and what's not successful. And then, just trying to be a sponge here, being around guys that have won and, Hall of Famers, things like that. Really, everyone just, from the short time I've been here, everyone's just, they seem extremely close and willing to sacrifice and just learn.
Chandler, Mark Paul, Spanish Sons Radio. Seeing that draft class in 2018, you have DeAndre, you have Landry, you have Mikal, and yourself.
Yeah.
It just feels like nostalgic. It just feels special that you're in the same core as 2018 draft class now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because me and Mikal, we've gotten close over the years. I played with his college teammate, Ryan Arcidiacono, in Chicago, and I was probably closest with him on that Chicago team. We spent a lot of time together, and obviously being in the NBA and him knowing Mikhail very well, our paths crossed. And before I even got here, I've, talked to Mikhail throughout the season for years, from years on from 2018. And it's funny because one of the guys that I always look for, in the box score to see who's doing well in my draft class was always Mikhail, so it's kind of funny how, now I'm going to be able to compete against him and play with him now from a guy that you've always been kind of chasing as he's really climbed and elevated his career. It's cool. And then to see, DA, obviously, it's funny because most of those guys were all one and dones. And then you got guys like me and Mikhail, we were kind of the older ones in that draft class, especially, the first round. And so it was kind of funny because we would make jokes about being the old heads when you got Trae Young, Luka, who were all 18, Michael Porter, 18, coming out of college. So it's cool. It's cool to see familiar faces and familiar names, the guys that we're in New York with in the green room and things like that. It's cool to see how we've all grown in our early career.
A quick follow-up to that, like, would you say that maybe that's the start of a movement between you guys? Like, maybe it's a good relationship where you could be within the organization, call yourself the 18 boy or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know, but they got the, what is it, Valley Boys here, so maybe we could do that. I don't know, man.
Time for two more? Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm from a small school. What kind of energy does that give you, these guys who are more highly recruited at an earlier age?
Oh man, I mean, at this point, really, it's really hard to draw motivation from that at this point in my career because that's been my thing since high school. And that attitude has carried on with me since I was 16 years old. I'm being from Orange County and all the kids from LA and the Bay Area and things like that getting recruited over me just because of the stereotypes and things about a Southern California kid. But it got me to Boise State, a place where also carried over, mid-major school, going up against the high majors. Can he play at the next level? And then becoming a first round pick. It's kind of like every level I use that, and it's not like I have to draw anything from that. That just is kind of my character makeup, because it's really shaped who I am since I was a teenager. And it's no different here. It always kind of seems like it takes a couple years for me to get acclimated to the level, to just continue to push through and keep my work ethic trending in the right direction. Then an opportunity shows up, and I always take full advantage of it. And I see at this level, maybe it's taken me a little bit longer, but it's because the level is so much higher than college. And for me, obviously, I've had to overcome some things with a few injuries early on in my career, but I mean, my work ethic and my talent, it just feels like the momentum right now for me is trending in the right direction, similarly to like college, and I know where that can take me.
Can you tell me about one of your earliest injuries and how you had to kind of get in your head to overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't deal with much injuries at all until I came to the NBA. I fractured a bone in my toe, which is, when you think about it, a minor injury, but with the foot, you really got to let it heal. You can't play on it. You can't hardly walk on it. You got to have a boot on. So that kind of set me back. And I was in an interesting position with Chicago where, we got to a point midway through the season when I got hurt is we really weren't playing for much, so it was as hard as it was for me to deal with the injury and not participate and not compete, because that's, the type of person I am. There was kind of a motive for me to just take my time and let it heal. So I missed more games than I would have liked that first year. But that was kind of the first little taste of injury and, the part of the league that happens to everyone. And just how you have to just, keep digging away. It's going to happen. Keep your mind right. And just really just hope that you can have a stretch of health where you're able to show your potential.
Dan's got Arizona Republic. What is some of the things that you like about Phoenix and short time you've been here versus Chicago and Washington?
I mean, first and foremost, when I had my first talk with James Jones, he explained to me how his approach stood out to me, other than other places that I've been, was he has just a player first, mentality. Everyone thinks that, it starts with the front office and that's where things kind of go from the top down. But early on, he mentioned to me how it's like, this is a players league, and not even that, but like it's a players organization too. And he prioritizes guys to try to get them to fulfill their potential. And it's not a trade-off for him. It's not, okay, we help these guys so they help our team. Right away, he mentioned how he didn't even talk about really much about Phoenix success. He just wanted to help me become the player he knows that I can be. And for me, I've never sat down and had a one-on-one talk with somebody that had that approach at this level. It's rare, with the business side of things, and it's all about winning, especially coming from a team where they just went to the NBA Finals. But he sees an opportunity for me here where he can help me, and in turn, obviously, that's going to give me the energy and the motivation to show up every day and do everything I can. Because if I got that, if he has my back, then it's like, what am I waiting for? And if I blow an opportunity, then I had everything I had, then what am I out here doing?
And just wasn't me to have that come from not just any GM, not just any former player turned GM, but James Jones, the champ.
Yeah.
The name speaks for itself. What's it mean to have his support specifically?
Well, the main thing is he knows what it takes to win, and he was one of the guys who also dealt with injuries, dealt with things that he had to adapt his game. And so he's seen a lot. He's been around some of the best players that ever played the game. And so he knows what it takes. And for him to have that mindset from being with a winning team to then adapt that to how he wants to lead his team, it's only gonna do good things. When you mention also that he just has that mindset that not a lot of other leaders have in this league, to be able to actually have done the dirty work, have clawed and to see what it takes. And he's just trying to relay that message because he knows the formula, and obviously early in his career, taking a Phoenix team that had struggled for years, and then kind of turned it around, even starting in the bubble, winning all eight of those games and unfortunately not making the playoffs, but then carrying it over the next year and Monty's leadership and his leadership, and then really backing it up with their playoff play and making it to the final. So, he knows the formula now, and he's not everything that I've gotten from him is he's not trying to take his foot off the brakes. He's trying to really push through this thing and get to that next level.